we know Sarasota has a need for more affordable housing. And one group that really fills the void is our artists. There is actually a national organization committed to developing artist-centered communities. It's called ArtSpace, and Senior Vice President Wendy Holmes is here to explain what's being considered for Sarasota. So Wendy, what does ArtSpace do?
ArtSpace is a national nonprofit developer, manager, and owner of permanently affordable space for artists and arts organizations.
Wow.
So you mean all kinds of artists, like painters and people that make do poetry. And
anyone who has a creative pursuit. You all would be part of that creative sector.
Oh,
and all of the people
artists
who work
work
at the television station.
Oh, we're all for it. What would something like this bring to Sarasota?
Well, these projects are amazing in terms of how they transform neighborhoods and communities. When you put a critical mass of artists in a place, they bring so much to an area. They can help jumpstart economic development in an area, or they can help prevent other artists and creative people from being kicked out of their places. So that's a really important piece as well.
But why is this so important? Because I feel like, you know, what makes why is there a need for this, I should say?
Yeah. So many communities across the country have art-space projects now. We have 47 projects completed across the country in 30 cities and 20 states. So we have done our first project was in Fort Lauderdale, and that's an amazing project. And why communities want this varies. It depends where they are. In Sarasota, of course, you're a very expensive community, and so a lot of creative people can't afford to be here. So it's important to figure out, how do you keep artists in your place? Because artists and creative people are what makes a community desirable for people to visit, to live, to experience.
Do you feel like you're taking a building that's already there and modifying it, or are you thinking about you actually are building new buildings that help house? We
do both of those things, and I imagine in Sarasota we'll be doing something from the ground up, something new construction, but we don't really know yet. Sometimes we take smaller historic buildings and then add on to them with new construction as well. So that piece of it can be creative.
So it's a building and not a community.
It's both.
It's both.
Okay. It's a community in a building.
So and it could be multiple buildings.
And it could be multiple.
Depending,
it could be
maybe.
Campus.
Okay.
I love this idea. They did something similar in Bradenton when they transformed I think it's now the Villages of the Arts. And there was like a lot of old rundown homes, and now they've redone it where a lot of artists have moved in and they've transformed like the bottom space into like their workshop, and people could come in and walk and see some of their stuff. And they live at the top on the second floor.
Crime left too.
Yeah.
It really drives crime out when that's happening. What else is being done? What else are you guys doing here in Sarasota?
So in 2014, we did a feasibility study to see, is there demand here for artist space, and is this a community that has the leadership in place to support something like this? And so all signs pointed in a positive direction, and so now we just last night launched a market survey. So we are getting data about how many creative people need what kinds of space and what can they afford to pay.
So you're evaluating now. We're trying to get information. Who would live there?
Correct.
Where would people like to see it?
Sign me up.
Yes. I mean, the concept is amazing.
But where do you get that information from? Who are you speaking to?
We're speaking to the very broadest creative community that you have in and around about 50-mile radius of Sarasota.
So you're soliciting feedback at this point.
Correct.
You want to hear from the artists and people who would be interested in this.
Exactly.
And if the community will accept it.
Exactly.
You need a lot of information.
We need a lot of information.
Well, so this is what we were talking about. Get involved. If you want it, you have to say you want it.
I love this idea.
And it's worked in other communities, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And I expect that it will to here as well. We have a very good initial impression of the arts community here.
Oh, thank you.
And we also, and not just the performing arts community, of course, but that's an important piece of it.
It is.
But you all have an important this is an important crossroads for you all right now because artists are starting to get displaced.
Yeah.
And so right now, an arts-based intervention, if you will, could be very important
I
for
think
you
it's
all.
a great idea. We talk all the time about the need for more affordable housing. You're helping us.
And we call this the Culture Coast. And to do that, we must have some culture and some art
Exactly.
involved.
They need to be
Exactly.
artist friendly, so that's
Right.
what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly.
Support the start of an artist.
Of course, if we take the survey, we're going to say we want it. Everybody needs to take this survey and have your say. To take part in the Art Space survey, you can go to the Sarasota Arts Alliance website. So have your say, speak up now, and make it happen. Next, we're going to get ready for the Celtic Festival. I hope those Vikings don't get involved again.